Welcome to today's episode of Unfiltered Truth. I'm your host, Jack Bomar, and I'm so excited for the conversation we're about to have. Our theme today is spiritually multilingual. What does it mean to be fluent in more than one spiritual tradition, practice, or language of the soul? In a world where many are seeking meaning across traditions, it takes courage and wisdom to integrate diverse ways of knowing into a single life of devotion and service. My guest today, Reverend Dr. LaTanya Taylor, embodies this beautifully. She has walked boldly in many spiritual paths as a minister, a teacher trained by the legendary Dr. Iyanla Vanzant, a producer, an astrologist, and an initiated priestess in the Yoruba tradition. And she's also part of the Hillside ministerial team, and she brings a rich and unique voice to what it means to live as a spirit-led, spiritually multilingual being. So let's dive in. Tanya, welcome to Unfiltered Truth. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Glad to be here.
I'm excited for you to share more about your story with our listening audience. And, you know, you wear so many hats: minister, priestess, astrologer, teacher, producer. So I just have to ask, when people hear all of those titles, what's the most surprising reaction that you get?
It depends on who I'm talking to. It depends. If I'm with social friends and they learn that I'm a minister, they're shocked.
Okay.
And when I'm with some of my spiritual community, you know, they're like, "Oh, that makes sense," you know.
So it's expected they know you.
Yes.
Wow. Well, tell us about your journey. You know, that's you don't hear that often. A minister, an astrologer, priestess. So, just share maybe briefly about your journey and how did you begin to explore those many paths to be as spiritually multilingual as you are today?
I would say that I'm from Vicksburg, Mississippi.
All right, you're Mississippi.
Okay, I'm a Southern girl, and so I always felt this connection with spirit that I didn't have words for.
Okay.
And I remember a turning point in my life when I was hearing from spirit, and there was this bookstore, new bookstore, and I was riding past and spirit told me to go in. And I went in, and I remember walking down the aisle. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I was just scanning, and I literally, down on the bottom shelf, the book that fell out was The Road Less Traveled.
Wow. Is that Scott Peck?
Scott Peck.
Wow.
Yeah, Scott Peck. And I didn't know that was going to be the precursor to really my life. And I just always, I didn't go look for spiritual things. They come to me.
Okay.
I mean, I was watching Donahue, and I remember when Father Stallings left the Catholic Church. I felt a belly leap, and I felt like I was on to something, like something was confirmed in me. And I think that began my journey of seeking, because I knew that there was more. Because I actually thought, I grew up Catholic, right? So let me back up. I'm from Vicksburg, Mississippi. I feel like I came from a family that was bilingual, because one half of my family was Catholic.
Oh, wow.
The other half of my family is
in Mississippi,
Baptist. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And so I would go to church oftentimes with someone else, never my mother. So I would ride to church with someone from the neighborhood when my sister went off to college. Otherwise, she and I went to the Catholic Church. So when I would ride in with someone, then I'd ride over to my mom's church, because she would come in later into the city, and then I'd go to her Baptist church.
Okay. All right.
So that, I feel like it was a divine setup, because literally I would go from the Catholic church over to my mother's Spirited Baptist church, and it was very interesting. It was just normal.
Wow.
It was just normal. But then I had the nerve to go to college. And start questioning and asking questions in
which school?
Southern University in Baton Rouge. Even that, all my friends were going to Jackson State, Alcorn. I mean, I grew up in college culture. I grew up with the bands. So like on the weekends, my family we were going to wherever the bands were, wherever the games were. So I grew up in a collegiate community that was marching band, football, all of that. But I couldn't do what everybody else was doing. So I was in high school.
When you say you couldn't do it, is that your parents prohibited it, or you just didn't have that inner guide?
It's this inner thing like, nah, everybody going there. I don't want to do that. I don't want to go there. I was in ROTC, and I got a full ROTC scholarship to college, 4-year scholarship.
Oh, wow.
Army ROTC. So if I had gone with conformity and the way my life was going at that time, I would have been commissioned in the military. I got, it's kind of funny to talk about it, but I ended up at Southern. And that's where I started studying with the Nation of Islam.
Really?
Is at Southern.
Okay.
Now I'm on this 4-year Army ROTC
as
scholarship.
a student.
Yes. I heard Minister Farrakhan. No, it didn't happen like that. So I'm on this 4-year Army ROTC scholarship. I'm hanging out at the T.T. Lane Business Building, and I hear this guy talking about who we were. I think knowing who my family is, I can see why it's in my blood. And so I heard him talking about who we were and how we had been lied to. And my spirit said, what is he talking about? So I actually started going to see more, what was he talking about, and got introduced to a smaller sect that called themselves the New Nation of Islam. Totally not related. And so they would always come down on Minister Farrakhan. I never heard of him. I'm like, who is this guy they keep talking about? And so finally, now I'm familiar, and then he's coming on campus. When I heard the minister, he's spoken to my spirit as well. And that also was a turnaround. Now, mind you, I'm on a 4-year Army ROTC scholarship.
Wow.
I'm waking up.
Okay.
It's not feeling good being in the white man's army. And understand now I'm going to be commissioned as a lieutenant, and I gotta pledge allegiance to this. My allegiance was no longer there anymore. And now I'm like, how can I get out of this scholarship? Because I want to go. Now I had a professor in the unit who was woke. And for the
woke, please put it in the context.
He was awakened. He was not the way
he was conscious.
It has been usurped.
Yeah, got it.
He was spiritually conscious. He had been studying things. He knew some kind of way we got into a conversation, and we started to have more and more spiritual conversations. And I told him, I said, I don't want to be on this scholarship. I really don't want to do this. I don't feel my heart is not in this anymore. And I had read that, if I gave up the scholarship, how I'd be penalized. And he said, I know a way out. And that was also a turning point, because nobody in my family was happy with me. And this is when the black sheep, being different, being a bit of a rebel, started to really set in, because I had an aunt that was military. I think my family is a little bougie, actually. and I didn't know it then. I didn't know my family. So like, you're doing what? You're giving up a a full ride, that gives you a stipend every month. How dare you? We work for this. But I stood on this calling that was like, that no, there's something more. And then that was another turning point. I say it was another rebirth. And so that's how I really started on my spiritual path, is the moment that I gave up that scholarship. I felt free to start asking more questions and studying more things. I thought I was going to be a nun. When I told you I was Catholic, I was still called even as a Catholic. I was in love with God. Wow. And I wanted to devote myself to God even as a young person. I thought I was going to go be a nun.
Was that before college?
Oh, yes. When I was a young girl, we had, in Catholic school, I went to Catholic school. You had to study religion. And I always got straight A's in theology. Though they loved me at the Catholic school because I always got straight A's in theology. I always resonated. I would go to the nuns lived on campus at my elementary school, and I would go and I would just go through the halls and walk, and I just was in love with it, with the idea of devotion.
So you started learning many spiritual languages as a youth, from Baptist to Catholic to becoming part of the nation. Did you become a member of the nation?
Eventually, I did, of course, yes.
So from the nation, and you always felt this connection, the spiritual connection. How did you end up on the path of ministerial ordination, and from that to priestess to astrologist? How did you get there?
So I grew up, as a woman. I think there was a part of me that also felt like I didn't belong in my family. So I've always it was seductive to be a part of something where I belong. Okay. And so I felt a belonging in the nation. There was community. There were big sisters. There was, I was part of a movement. And so I felt safe there. I didn't feel safe in my own family. Wow. And so by the time now I'm in the nation, I'm serving the nation, I'm also married. I got married at 19.
All right, this is remember, no filters, no fluff.
No filters.
So 19.
I got married at 19. In the nation, you do not date. You court. Was
this a college sweetheart or child?
Oh, no. This is an FOI who is still in the nation today on Minister Farrakhan's team.
Wow.
Yeah. That's my family over there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's my
family. You got
family.
Deep roots.
Yes. Yeah. And so I didn't come into the nation for him. I was already in the nation. And so you don't court long in the Nation of Islam. You go 3 months, 6 months, people start looking at you. What's up? What you doing?
Okay.
If you've been courting a year or more, you like somebody in authority is having some conversations with you.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So that's the 6 months is really crossing a line. And so within 3 months of meeting my ex-husband, I got married. I would say that, he was very respected in the Nation of Islam. And I was a captain. I was a sister captain. First I was a lieutenant. I was moved in through leadership very quickly. So I was, the sergeant, a captain, all of that in the nation. And I say all that to say I was 19.
Wow.
So I didn't really know who I was.
Absolutely.
I just went from one religion to another. That's why I can talk to people who just trade places.
You have a lot of people trading places.
You just go from one thing to the next, but you never know who you are. And so here I am. I'm young. I'm married. I'm in leadership. I'm growing up in the nation, and I don't have on rose-colored glasses. The nation is a nation, a community with all its flaws, just like the church, just people and personalities. And so I had to do my inner work, and that's where Iyanla came in, because here I am now. Now I'm elevated in position. I had a lot of envy and jealousy because I was a well-kept woman, and I'm in position. So the old ladies wasn't really feeling me. They wasn't feeling me. And so then, now I have womanhood questions. And so I couldn't really talk to my mom because they came from this old school thing, like, don't trust no man, honey. I don't care what you say. Put your money to the side, do all this. And I wasn't really in that mindset. So I didn't really want that type of guidance, even though it has some value now, I understand. Okay. And so I was walking once again in a bookstore, Bishop. And actually, someone in the nation, sometimes people can be real rigid. And so a sister brought in Iyanla's book. And I remember the first time it was Acts of Faith. And I was like, nah, I ain't messing with that. Wow. Pushed it to the side. And then I don't remember what happened, but I was in the bookstore. I was looking again for something that could speak to me as a woman. Check this out. I didn't want to hear anything about the revolution and the struggle. I already knew who we were. I didn't want to read that. Most of the things that was in the bookstore was about the revolution. not really like the revolution, but like historical books. Like
where have we been?
Yeah, I didn't want that. I needed to talk to me as a black woman. And it was Iyanla that I saw again, and I just immersed myself into that. And then I found out she had workshops and training, and I started to go from Chicago because I was at Moss number 2 in Chicago.
In Chicago,
yes.
I used to live around the corner from there.
Really?
Yeah. Was it Stony Island?
Yes, indeed.
I was in the East End.
Okay.
South Shore.
Yes. Yeah, so I was coming from Chicago to Maryland, started taking trainings, workshops, anything she had, and they really embraced me. There were 2 sisters who were from the nation in that community, and they became my elders, my angels. Peace and blessings upon one of them who's made her transition.
Wow.
Who I was gifted her dissertation for her doctorate when they found out that I was going to be provost. I was given her entire dissertation. So Mama Helen, I speak her name. She was from the nation. Another mother was Mama Musina. When I went to Iyanla, she will tell you I came in headpiece and a number 19 because that's the dress from the Nation of Islam.
Wow.
I was still wearing a drape scarf and a number 19.
Wow.
So she knows me when. It took them a long time to stop calling me LaTanya Muhammad.
Really?
Because I went back to my dad's name.
Okay.
But for years, I was LaTanya Muhammad, even when I went to the church. Because now, mind you, so now I moved to Maryland. And I'm doing all the personal development work now.
Well, you see, that's at Iyanla's church.
So I moved to Maryland. And because once again, any moves I make, most of the time, I hear a call. I hear guidance.
So when you say you hear an inner call.
Inner call. Okay. I hear guidance.
What is it like? Is it an audible call? Is it a feeling? You see it in a dream? It's an urge, an unction?
It's a combination. Not always a dream, but I'm an intuitive, so I can. I didn't know that at the time. So when I hear or feel the guidance, it's a strong, premonition feeling. And then I begin to get symbols and guidance. And so then I got that, but I was married. So I was like, oh my God. But my husband, ex-husband at the time, we weren't on the same page. He was talking about going this way, and I'm hearing a call to go this way. And people think in the nation started to make up, Iyanla called her out of the nation in her marriage. It's unfiltered, right? I mean, that they don't know I know, but so that's not what happened. So I was on this spiritual journey. I was studying. I was cultivating tools. I started to study holistic health, and just everything called me to Maryland. And for years, I was an understudy, a volunteer. I mean, I was with the community, with the family, and that's when I became more multilingual, because I'm now in the room with women from all walks of life, and I'm moving further away from the religiosity. Ironically, in the nation, we studied a lot. It really started in my studies. When they say study and show yourself approved, I started studying at Southern University. I remember going into the library, spending hours having a Bible, a Quran, a dictionary.
Wow.
And I would look up every word. And that's when I started to get divine revelation and hearing. And my hearing became stronger and stronger. So that's where translation really started, is at Southern University.
Wow.
When I would go to that library and study, then we go to a study group on Friday night in the nation, and we call it bean pie scientists. We would be Navy beans. We would unpack. We would be unpacking, breaking it down, and I loved that. That was my space of being able to do that. So I would say I would have to credit Minister Farrakhan, because he is the one who taught us how to study and exegete the word.
All right now.
And so I studied there, and then every time I'd be around something else, I started studying Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes. I started going to metaphysical bookstores, and I wouldn't tell anybody. And so the more I'd study the way we were taught in the nation, now I'm studying Ernest Holmes, I'm seeing universal law, I'm saying, wait a minute, this is this. We're calling it this, and I see it here. I see it over there. I'm seeing now it's becoming neutralized to me, and I'm pulling further away from the traditional way, because I'm also going through my own personal development, because in the nation I was a captain, right? So when a sister comes to the door, there's always a lieutenant or a captain that's checking her dress.
Okay.
And I remember saying, I don't care about whether this sister has on stockings when I know that her heart may be broken.
All right.
I'm checking for a sister's to make sure she's dressed properly now, because I'm teaching, and I'm hearing the women, and I'm giving word. That was the moment that I got the call. Is in a workshop. I was teaching a workshop. And I heard Spirit say, this is what I called you to do. You could do this for the rest of your life. And it was at that moment, all of my soldier just melted. And I moved into the love space, like, wait a minute, we're not loving the people where they are. Yeah, we're training the people to be what?
Wow.
Not free. I don't care what movement we're part of. If a woman is coming in dressed in her dress white, but she's going home and being abused, we got a problem.
Wow.
If she's struggling in poverty, or she has had childhood issues, there were women that was revealing things to me, and I was like, wait a minute, where are we addressing this in here? And so that's where I really went more into the spiritual, the universal, and when I moved to Maryland, I was immersed in a little bit of everything, and then I joined Intervisions.
Wow.
Iyanla did not have an institute when I met her.
Okay.
And I went to her at the end of a Wonder Woman workshop and said, I feel called to this. How can I study with you? How can I do this?
Wow.
She said, well, I don't have anything. You can take workshops. You can, do this. And later on, the Institute came, and I enrolled.
And the Institute is Intervision.
Intervision's Institute for Spiritual Development.
So for the listeners, those who are tuning in, we talk about being spiritually multilingual. Mm-hmm. How would you define or explain it? What does it mean to be spiritually multilingual?
Is that you can go into any place and translate God through the dance, the song, the sounds, the expressions. That there is no spot where God is not. Wow. And that I know how to chant like the Buddhists. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Yes, why? Because when I was on an airplane on my way to Washington, D.C. one summer, I met a girl who was traveling by herself with her I was 13 or 14. She was about 16. She was a Buddhist. I was drawn to that. That's how I became multilingual. I dared to ask and not judge.
Wow. A lot of people are challenged with, they struggle trying to reconcile the different spiritual traditions. Mm-hmm. How do you navigate and integrate that in your own experience? And because you came from, your Baptist upbringing, your Catholic upbringing, from being a member of the nation, now you're expanding through your teachings and studies with Dr. Van Zandt. And then you haven't even talked about how did you move into the realm of becoming a priestess.
Yeah.
So how do you navigate, first of all, and integrate? And for those who struggle with just being exposed to the different spiritual traditions.
I mean, you have to be a little bit of a rebel and be okay with that. A lot of times we want to please everybody, we want to keep everybody happy. I think one of the benefits of being the black sheep is, I know we're unfiltered, Bishop.
You're unfiltered. Go. Listen, there's no filters, no fluff.
I'm a cussing priest.
Let it out.
I
know you got a cussing spirit.
You know I do. I do. So I'm
free. You're unfiltered.
I'm like, what the hell? Y'all already, have pegged me as this or whatever. So, you at a certain, the black sheep can either be your womb or it can be your wealth. It can be your portal to walk through the door on the other side. You can keep on calling yourself weird and wear it as a cross, or you can transcend the cross.
Wear it as your crown.
Yes.
Your robe, your garment.
Yes. Yes. And so that began to happen. Like and then I have to say, I just realized something. I was about to say, my dad really supported me. My grandmother walked with me. Wow. When I started studying something different, I forgot, my grandmother's 7-day Adventist.
Really?
So she was the one, when I would go in her bathroom, that had all of the unity daily word. So when I would go in her bathroom, I would be reading the daily word.
She was already spiritually multilingual.
She was so multilingual. And so she would say, baby, stay with it. Because when I was questioning Jesus and all of that, the way that we've been taught it, my grandmother would be saying, keep going, baby. And my daddy respected, it brought me and my dad together because we are Choctaw Indians.
All right.
I ain't never been told I'm from Africa.
All right.
And we are from the Natchez Trace of Mississippi, and I knew who I was through my family. And so my dad would always, when I started, he's really like a political, like a rebel, like he is an activist spirit. So he started to come in and pull closer to me, and my mom would even support me. And I think that made a difference. And the reason why I paused and took a breath is because today is October 2nd, yes?
Yes.
This is the day that my dad transitioned.
Oh, wow.
Normally, I don't do anything on this day.
Wow.
So when I got ready to speak about him, I felt him.
Can you speak his name?
Yes, Dennis Taylor Jr.
Ashe. Ashe.
And I am my daddy's girl. I am a daddy's girl. And when I was doing my work, right, I had to heal those things. because he also broke my heart. And so I had to, though that's the work you do before you become a coach with a Iyanla. Like she said, don't go out in them streets shaming me. You can't go be hanging out a banner and talking about you a coach, but you're not healed. So you have to do the work. And so I started doing the work with my father. But I wasn't conscious of everything that I was doing. It almost was as if vision of something else pulled me forward into this. Like I couldn't help but do. I couldn't help myself. I wasn't planning it. I mean, it was difficult because I was always different. And the more I would grow, even when I accepted the ministerial call, I went kicking and screaming because I had gotten free. Once I got out of the nation,
I see.
I had been covered in the prime when my friends were clubbing.
Wow.
They were pledging. I thought I was going to be clubbing and pledging. I got invited to the rush the day that I went to join the nation.
Wow.
And I really wanted to pledge. Who invited me to the rush was the niece of Mike Epsy.
Uh-oh.
And I really so I wanted to do all those things. Remember, I'd grown up in college culture, so but I kept. This was more important. I knew too much now by this time, so it wasn't always easy because my friends we weren't on the same level.
I see.
And still to this day, there's not a lot of people like me from my hometown. And I'm still the different one in my family. I still am.
Well, you've done some amazing work, and you're doing amazing work, and you've worked with a lot of people who were in crisis on the Fix My Life show.
Yeah.
How did you use your spiritual tools to help in those moments of transformation?
Oh, wow. We used our tools from the beginning, the season open. I have to say, by this time now I'm more embodied. I am, standing fully in my feminine. I've done a lot of other work beyond even just metaphysics and studying. I've gone through some things in my life. And I remember the first day that we had our meeting at OWN. First of all, to walk through Oprah's studios was surreal for me. That's where my career had taken me. But when I saw Iyanla sit at the head of the table, stop the meeting so that we could do intention statements, so that we could pray. She showed me the embodiment of all of it. Like, no, it's not something we do before we get in the room. We're going to do it in the room. This is what guides us. So everything we did in preparation was always prayer, was always intention. Sometimes readings. Sometimes it was astrology that we would read to know what was coming in the room, so we would know what we're working with on a much higher level. People think that she's just doing this for entertainment, but it's not entertainment. It is our ministry. And so when I'm with my ministerial covering, we do ministry. We do ministry before set. We do ministry when we were riding on our way to the set. We were praying. We were pulling. We were checking. We were seeing what are we working with? What's the block? What do we need to shift? So that's how we were doing it. We were doing it on set. I was on set in a corner. Y'all were looking at Iyanla, but I was in the corner doing a pendulum.
All right now.
To see, are they lying? Are they telling the truth? Is this the issue? So yeah, many of us, we put so much of our spirituality in a box. It's something that I just do on Sunday. And that's what I feel that, when I work with Rebirth, it's about rebirthing that.
Wow. So that is so powerful. How can someone those who might be seeking to explore, and what we're finding today, many people are looking beyond and outside of the religion and the practices that they grew up with. Mm-hmm. For someone, how can someone honor their own tradition while being open to learning and exploring another?
You got to be willing to let it go first.
Say more to that.
You see, if you've been in Baptist, Pentecostal, and whatever, that's all you know. You got to be willing to let it go, because it's an elevator. When you let that go, then you have room for something else. And when you let that go, then you'll be ready for the next thing. You can't even get to the higher level of knowledge because you're still holding on to that one thing. So nothing else, there's no room, nothing else can come in. You got to be willing to let that go.
Wow.
And then you come back to it when you're really free. Then you come back to it when you're ready, that I can translate the reason why I can sit and listen to somebody minister. I don't agree with everything that comes across the pulpit, not even here at Hillside. I don't have to.
You don't have to.
Because there's a difference between agreement and alignment. Most people are taught, well, I don't agree with that, so I'm not going to stand with it. I don't agree with that. Jesus is the way, the only way, and when I pray, I got to say in Jesus' name. No, you don't. No, you don't. Who told you that? That's what you get. You have to challenge all of it. You have to because we've all been lied to. And if you can't call out the lie, then you are still in bondage. And you got to be willing to let it go so that you can be free. I move freely through these. That's why I can dance, sing, and shout. I used to judge the shout and the dance. I didn't praise like this. Remember, I'm Catholic. I judged it first. It don't take all that.
Wow.
Until the more open I became, the more available I became, the more the ancestors will work with me. Then that is the way. I channel during prayer. When I'm praying, sometimes when you ask me, when I get those premonitions, sometimes I can just pray and I'm getting these things about what's happening. When I start being obedient to what I was receiving, I could call somebody and said, I saw this and I just wanted to check on you. And then it freaked me out because it would be true. Like, oh yeah, I was going through something. How did you know? I don't know how I knew. You
just knew.
I just knew, and so I called you. And then so then I started to have spiritual experiences to the point that when I would go into a workshop room and I could feel the lies in the room, the withhold in the room, and I would feel it in my body to the point that I would get sick. Wow. And one of my teachers, peace and blessings upon him, Master Coach Ron Davis, told me, he said, you gotta speak it. He said, when you hold back, you are doing a disservice to the people in the room that it's not about you. And he told me, you gotta speak it. And so I began to step into the other parts of my gifts. It's not easy. Most of us are addicted to religion. Yeah. We are addicts. You so free and you so such and much and everything else, but you are a religious addict.
And it's for most people, our default.
That's right.
We default to what we know that's familiar.
Yes.
Even if what's familiar, we know is not right.
Yes.
And incorrect. So for our listeners, if our listeners could practice one thing this week that to expand their spiritual vocabulary and to expand their spiritual experience, what would that one thing be that you might suggest to them?
Ask questions. Ask questions.
Speak
ask questions about, why do I believe this?
Yeah.
Where did this come from? Is it true? Does it serve me now?
All right.
And if I were to let this go, and I wasn't worried about what anybody thought of me, who would I be? What would I do? Then I dare you to do it. I dare you to do it. Because on the other side is where you may meet God. I know I did.
Hey.
You can meet God in your rebellion. See, they teach you that the prodigal son did something wrong. I used to think I was prodigal. And the prodigal son didn't do anything wrong. That's why when he came home, Daddy said it was already yours. It was already his. He did his process. And the son who stayed was mad because he didn't go out. What do you mean? I stayed here. I've been faithful to you. And you're going to give the inheritance to the one that left you?
Wow.
So that's I would say sometimes that is your journey. You have to go on a pilgrimage sometimes in order to get the answers that you need. You got to be willing to ask questions because the answer lives in the same room as the question.
Hey, say that again.
The answer lives in the same room as the question.
Look at the camera and tell them.
The answer lives in the same room as the question.
As the question. Ashe. Listen, how can people find you?
Well, people can find me.
And tell us about that book right now.
Oh, yeah. So my book, I don't talk about it a lot at Hillside, but hey, because, this is me, also another act of me getting free. This is me on the cover, My Juicy Rebirth, A Journey to Healing the Feminine Through Pleasure and Sacred Process. You can find me on Rebirth with LaTanya on all platforms. This book is about sensual transformation, how the ministry of pleasure for myself, to myself, put me in a deeper relationship with God, because we don't like to deal with taboo subjects. Love, sex, and money are taboo for religious minds.
All right.
And that's what I got called to do through this work. Juicy stands for joyfully unveiling intimacy's creative yes. My yes to God. Juicy is not just about this. So yeah, you come thinking that you're chasing an orgasm. You come, but see, if your orgasm is in bondage, so are you.
All right.
So if you can free your orgasm, then you can free yourself and your money, because your money is connected to your orgasm.
All right now.
And a lot of people are afraid of that.
Well, Dr. LaTanya, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom.
It's over.
Listen. Thank you for being the powerful voice that you are. Yeah. And as we wrap up, I just want to say thank you to our listeners. And may we all be inspired to learn more than one spiritual language, because spirit is always speaking in many, many ways. Thank you for tuning in to Unfiltered Truth with Jack Bomar.